So, ladies and gentlemen, fanboys and girls, nerds, weebs, and otaku, welcome back and welcome home.
Well, hello there, Apple Bites. This is your Apple Bite Written Writ Ralph here, talking to you straight from our show here, The Written Writ. And today we have a plethora of people hanging out with us and getting ready to geek out. We got our friend Matta, our friend Clifford, our friend Ben, and our friend Floof. A lot of friends.
A lot of friends today, yeah.
Hi, friends.
We're all friends forever.
Ralph and I are old friends, as we just discussed.
Exactly. Oh, look. And we have Brooklyn, because he got it working.
I use my phone now. I had to improvise.
Oh, and you sound perfect.
And it sounds good and it looks good.
No aliens this time.
Sponsored by Bose.
Bose is some good headphones.
There you go.
I have some Bose speakers. I do like them. I gotta say.
It does the job.
It does. It does.
All right, folks. Let's see what we got here. You know what we're gonna do? We're gonna start with you previously, because you are interesting.
Yeah, there's a lot going on there. All good.
Exactly. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna tell the people who you are, what you do, all the good stuff. Give them the spiel. Let them have it. Go for it.
Sure. So I'm Ken. I'm the owner of Previously Pluto. We're a local indie game company from Philadelphia, and we make a lot of experimental games. Our first release was a tabletop game called The Big Shuffle. It's like a 1930s detective film noir kind of game, but instead of being like a mystery game, it's more of a, instead of like a whodunit, it's like you're the one doing it primarily. So you play a character like a detective, mafia don, a pen fatale, and you all have your own agenda. And what's really unique about this game is in the center of the board, there's a bunch of scene cards that represent the scene of a movie, like a who, a what, and a where. And your character's goal is it's like a matching game. So you're trying to match your agenda, which is on the center of the board, to match the scene with what your character wants. So that's generally our first big project. And we released it in like 2022. We pretty much took it on the circuit. It's done really well. And with that, we're able to then expand our company, and now we make digital games, tabletop games, and we just got into TTRPGs. So yeah, that's pretty much us. And we're also planning to do some stuff within the community to help the indie space.
You make that sound like it's a little bit of stuff. That is a lot of stuff.
It's like, no, I just do a few things here and there. Like, no, making entire game is a lot.
And it's not even like you're making the same thing over and over. Everything sounds like a whole different thing.
Yeah, if you look at the other side of the screen, you see Oddware, which is the really hard to market because it's like the exact opposite. It is a digital game. It's a sci-fi visual novel about androids in space. So it's one has no color and one has like all the colors. But yeah, that's we plan to release the other game probably maybe like maybe this year if we're lucky. And it's already on Steam, so you can already wishlist it. So that's one of our other big projects. But we also have 3 other projects in development now. We have another big tabletop game we want to release in February, and then we have just gone to the TTRPG space too,
right,
with a just generally an urban fantasy, but I won't say any more details than that. But
Well, you
yeah,
got my attention already because everybody usually does the regular fantasy.
well, it's okay. Well, actually, what we're doing now is we finally got to the stage in development that we're actually having alpha tests with it. So we're all running a couple one shots. So I'm bringing the artists that are on the team to actually do a one shot. And like the designer actually loves doing theater of the mind. You can scroll up a little bit. You can point out some of them too. So yeah, James Ellerby, he's the head of our production. He's actually the game designer behind our next project. Oh yeah, and I guess I can actually say what it is to a degree. I at least can say the name. The game is called Magusha, Clash of the Commanders.
I like it.
Yeah, it's an Afro fantasy card battler.
Ooh.
But we plan to do an official announcement in September, and we'll just have like a flashy trailer and all that jazz. But we've been working on for like over a year, and we plan to launch it like again early next year is the idea. But like that's our big project. And as you can see, our team's pretty diverse. They're kind of all around the country, but we try to do most of our work within the Philadelphia area if possible. So that's pretty much on that side.
That is a lot of people.
Yes, the ones at the bottom are technically contractors, but they're all good. So,
It's
and
all
our team has
teams,
that our team has actually kind of grown, but we really like to try to give people opportunities. So we have some local artists coming, writers from all walks of life. We have 2 playwrights that just joined our team.
Nice.
Fun.
So they're doing some work on Oddware, but they're also gonna like do a little work on our TTRPG stuff too. So if you guys ever like to do, you obviously ever want to test out a brand new TTRPG based on Greek mythology, please join us.
We actually have a friend who might be able to help you out. Andrew. Andrew does that stuff for a living, pretty much.
Yeah, he does maps. He does like figurines.
I'm surprised he's not in the comments section right now.
Yeah, right. Where is he? Usually mentioning him summons him, but I don't know. I don't know if that works.
Yeah, I was going to say too. What's really interesting is the 2 people that we brought in, the 2 playwrights, actually work for Camp Half Blood. Percy Jackson. So there's actually a real like, I guess national like summer camp where they actually have all this Greek Greek fantasy stuff based on Percy Jackson, and they got permission from the author, but they actually work on the camp, which is perfect because that's what our TTRPG is about. It's an anti-capitalistic urban Greek fantasy.
That is a very specific genre that I'm here for.
Yes, it's both classical and punk, so I love it.
Rock and roll.
Excellent.
I gotta say, like, how do you go from a little noir card game detective type of thing here into all that other stuff that you're talking about?
Well, so this is an interesting thing about our team. Okay, about our history too, is that the Big Shuffle was our big first game, and the reason why we picked the film noir is one, we're all film buffs, we love film, but we didn't really see many like things within the genre on Kickstarter, so we kind of went this route and spent. Actually, this is our pandemic game. So we spent 2 years doing all the art, all these amazing illustrations that took us about maybe 2 years to actually make, and then a year to actually do all the QA in production. So that's when we actually released. So, but from there, we were actually able to absorb a production company, which is very odd. But the story kind of goes is that we actually hired a production team to make some of our Kickstarter videos. It was a friend who wanted to get into production, moving away from being an actor and moving into the behind the scene kind of thing. And then it just didn't work out. It kind of fell through, and I just offered to just absorb his company instead. So I just kind of took all his equipment, his employees, his IPs, and then
that's the way to do it, man.
And the reason why we did it is because it's much cheaper to do in-house production than is to hire outside agencies.
Completely.
Yep.
So now we can do a lot cooler stuff, and we have like everyone that my team that was already there. So now we can do that. So we do all our internal marketing for all different various projects, so we can make some really cool content. And after that, we got to the point where we did a lot of. Here's a really cool thing about why we do so well, specifically, is that when we do a show, because we make all our money on the con circuit, right? So our favorite is actually PAX Unplugged. Has anyone been to that one?
Oh, and we've had a lot of friends who've done PAX. I don't think I've done it personally. Have any of you guys?
No.
It is if I didn't do cons just like for work, I would go for fun. PAX Unplugged is great. It's the second largest board gaming convention
Mhm.
in the country. It's located in Philly. It's awesome. They have every single game known to man. All the developers are out there. The newest games are coming out
Nice.
there. They have like very famous TTRPG stuff, like Critical Role and all that stuff is there. You can actually do LARPing there, or just run
Wow.
your own games. You can, if you have an unpublished game, you can go to Unpub, which is a great way to get notoriety from different like distributors and publishers. It's really great. So like it just has a different feel than like digital games, because board game development is a struggle.
Mhm.
And the games are so communal. It feels like we're all like one big family, because we're all suffering together. It costs a lot of money to produce a game
Suffering together.
and be profitable within this space. But yeah, it's super cool. But back to what I was saying before is, so our other games that we've created and why they're so different, is one, we want to make just really standout games, like a BFL studio known for that, but
Mhm.
also elevating our members from what their goals are. So like one of our members really had a game that he always wanted to make for like, he had in his brain for 10 years. So we decided to push all our efforts and pull our resources to make this next big project, Magusha.
Right.
So that'll be what we're going to announce. I mean, we're actually even having some outside agencies support us to get to that venture. And then for the TTRPG, the same kind of concept. The creator actually wanted to make a different game, but he wants to cut his teeth on this one that he worked on previously with another partner. So we're doing
Mhm.
elevating them. We even plan to start publishing other people's games in 2025, and now go the publisher route also and see where that kind of takes us. So, like I said, and we also give oh yeah, and I forgot to say the whole point of why I brought up conventions in the first place. Sorry, is that when we go to conventions, we don't just like show up and sell our game. Because half our team are actors, we put on a show, right?
Oh,
And
that's the way to do it.
three of our members work for a murder mystery place called Booby's Brewery in Lancaster. I think it's Lancaster, around that area. And so they're really good at improv, and they're really good at like talking like they're from the 1930s. So they like
Right.
bring people in. We have our whole booth super decorated. One time, some guy liked our actor so much, he was all like, "I don't even know what you're selling, but I like the cut of that guy's jib. I'm buying the game." I'm like, "Hell yeah!" So we're all about a big presentations, booth design, all that kind of
And
jazz.
it's funny
So
because you have these things that you can actually really dive into, like the Big Shuffle by itself. I can see you guys going all out with it. Have people come in as the characters from the game.
yeah, you should check out thebigshuffle.com if you want to see a better presentation of the cards and everything.
Yeah. Now he's taking us places. Hold on. All right, you keep talking. I'll plug stuff in.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
I need the link for that. Like people on Instagram are asking for it.
Oh,
Oh, wow,
the
Or
they
like
Big
are?
Shuffle.
yeah. Time Enforcers is asking for it.
All right, so let
Yeah.
me give you the
It
their
sucks that you can't see the comments from Instagram.
yeah.
We'll-
I was like,
we'll see it.
okay,
There's-
usually you see something.
I can send the links, by the way. So
Oh yeah, if you can
once
just put it in the chat,
Oh
that
yeah,
would
put
be
it
awesome.
right there in
I'll
the
put it
private
in the
chat.
chat. So
Yeah.
there's the
Yep.
Big Shuffle, and then if you actually want to buy the game, we actually just put up a shop recently. Hooray!
There we go. Now we got the. I can share this. Oh yeah, this looks
Oh,
good.
love it.
Ooh, look at this.
Yeah, so you can see more of the art.
Ooh.
And like just a little thing, like the game itself is really the quality of the cards are really high because we hit our stretch goals. So like it's like black core, it's linen finish, it has an amazing red foil edge,
Oh
which is
wow.
super beautiful.
Yeah, I saw when you sent me some of the stuff when you were sending me the stuff, the promo stuff, I saw that the cards had that nice, beautiful little red edge, and I was like, that's just perfect, especially for noir.
It was actually made the cards double the price because they'd only make gold or silver, but they don't do red, so they had to do a special print just for us.
I thought
So
it
we
was
don't
red.
make
Okay.
Yeah, so we don't make as much money on each box because of that, but we make more of our money on the expansions, which are just as good. So,
Mhm.
and we designed the box so it fits both expansions perfectly, so you don't have to like separate them.
I
So
like
it
the
keeps
stylized. I can see you guys actually thought everything out, and everything looks beautiful. I feel like you actually sat there and said, let's make a good game.
keep scrolling down. You kind of get sense of the rules a little bit, even though it's a little outdated.
Yeah, how easy is it to learn the rules? Like, how long does it typically take to like get through the game? Like, these are all the important questions. Because like my thing now, especially with the weather being as hot as it is like I just
Oh,
like to sit down in like a bar with my friends and have a beer and like just
especially because they got some great
play
air
some card
conditioning.
games or something, or like play a quick D&D session or
Yeah.
something, or like put together a puzzle. So like,
I would say this game is like probably medium difficulty, like light to medium, and takes about 30 minutes to play.
cool.
And again, it's simpler than it looks. It primarily is like a matching game. Like I said, you have something in the center of the board, the who, what, and the where. Kind of represents the scene. So in this example, you have the femme fatale at the governor's mansion doing the scandal, you know.
Ooh,
But
Hmm.
it's
because
kind
you're,
of like Clue. It reminds me of.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's
reminded me
clue
of
in
Clue too. Yep.
it's clue in reverse though. You know, instead of finding who did it, you're the one doing it, right? So
Clever.
So like fun thing is because you're always searching through the deck for your who, what, and where scenario, the rules of the game are always changing too. So when you swap out, say like the what to something like the car chase, it becomes the femme fatale of the governor's mansion doing the car chase, and then the rules suddenly change, right? So things like you can draw only so much, you gain certain abilities, etc., etc. So kind of like Flux. If you ever played the game Flux, the rules are ever changing. So it's the same kind of thing. The
Nice.
scenes are changing, the rules are changing. And what's really interesting is that you have an agenda that's secret to yourself, so only you know that agenda, but you share an agenda with the people to the left and right of you. So you're always making alliances and then backstabbing them when the opportunity arises.
Yeah, I was gonna ask about the other players, like if they were your accomplices or if they were your enemies,
And
or
they,
how that works. So,
oh, they're both. They can always be both.
oh, love it.
And there's a whole big mechanic about so when you actually move a scene up or down,
Hmm.
you have to use something called goons. So these goons, I know it has a new terminology nowadays, but
Oh, I know
goons are
goons.
yeah, so you actually fight each other with these goons, and then it's pretty much your muscle. You hire as many goons as you can to make that scene change, and then after that, they're all dead. So you just replicate like a mob war.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, it has like 88 original illustrations. It took us like 2 years to make, and we are starting to wind this project down. I think our last sales are gonna be at Yomicon, and after that, we're just gonna focus on online. And yeah, so
I
I
gotta
think
say,
this.
I've been dying to do a clue party where everybody comes in as the characters.
Oh my god.
Now I feel like maybe I should go with the big shuffle and have everybody come in as a character.
Listen, it's super fun. You definitely guys should try it. I'll come in. I'll come dressed up too.
There
I'll
you
get my
go.
gear on.
Yay!
We actually, like I said, because of our connection to the murder mystery like business, we actually have all the outfits you could possibly imagine.
Oh
So
my god.
if you look at our Instagram, you'll see a bunch of us in costume.
Well, I'm a big noir guy, so
Same here. I just read a great book on noir, even though I'm like far past this project.
Mhm.
There's a book called Dark City, and I know it's a great movie too, but it's also a book. And there's like a redone version of it, and it kind of just shows like the evolution of how film noir became popular in Hollywood, and it
Mm.
taught me how evil Ronald Reagan really was.
Oh
All
dear.
even back then, he was the biggest snitch of them all. Just like he's headed that whole like McCarthy era. That guy was such a jerk.
Oh my
Anyways,
goodness. Wait,
Hmm.
so
but like
so what is this called? Now I have to read it. The Dark City,
oh,
you said?
Dark City. Let me link to an Audible just because I love the
Is it
book so
based on the
much.
movie or is the book based on the movie? Which way is
No,
this thing?
it's just a book called Dark City.
Okay.
Who is the author?
It's Eddie Mueller. Yeah,
Bueller.
I'll link the book too. But it's called Dark City Revised Expanded. I actually read this book also as part of our research. We watch a lot of film noir for our research for this game too to get like the dialogue going perfectly. But man, they're so snappy. And also I miss the transatlantic accent. That is such a great accent. It's not a
Oh
real
yeah.
accent, by the way. But
Oh,
like Hepburn would speak that way, you know?
I love those accents. They're fantastic, and they're now that you actually associate them with noir.
Yeah, definitely. Like
Mhm.
go back to any of those films, they hold up.
Yeah.
I mean, once in a while you get something horrifically racist, but if you skip that part, you're
okay.
good. Because I was watching this movie called like not it wasn't I forget specifically what it's called, but it was like a police chase. This guy was like underground, and it's like a pretty much like the Yuma bomber kind of scenario,
Right.
and there was like evading the police, leaving them clues and stuff. And the reason why they couldn't catch it because he was the police himself, so he was in their heads, that kind of thing. But like maybe 3/4 of the way through, they're like investigating like a circus, and suddenly blackface. I'm like, what? It's just this guy
Oh
that's a clown, full
no.
blackface. I'm like,
Oh
oh
no.
my god, this movie was going great until this happened.
Wow.
And I'm like, I can't believe this came out, but it was like 1947 at the time, I think, or something like that. So reasonable, I guess.
It was
at the
fine back
time.
then.
Yikes.
Because
Capital
to
yikes.
them, they're doing their own period, right? So they're going
Exactly.
back to like the early 1920s or whatever in their 1950s movie. But no, in the end of the day, a lot of the stuff about film noir, and the reason why it's called Dark City, a little spoiler for this book, but the real Dark City is actually Hollywood. So what's really great about this book is not only do they go over the movies, they go over the actors in the movies, about their history and what they actually became, right? Through the beginning of their career to the end of their career. And usually the big issue is alcoholism. Lots of alcoholism, a lot of miserable people. But yeah.
Oh yeah, because the whole Hollywood was all about alcohol.
Yeah, and also things were so much more wild back then.
Oh, definitely.
And also a lot more left leaning too, to boot, which is very interesting. But then, McCarthy era, Reagan coming through, just snitching on everybody. Anyone with even a sniff of like, oh, I cared about someone else. Commie.
Socialist. Oh wait, was
I
it
know,
was it
right?
commies or socialists? I think
It
they
was communist back then.
It said it was communist.
Communist.
right.
It's called the Red Scare, right?
Yeah,
So-
yeah.
And like, there's a lot of movies, and again, film history is very cool looking at it in terms of its reflection with our modern day. But like things like High Noon, if you know what that film is, it's like
Yeah.
a western.
Yeah.
That was like a call about community, but again, they wanted to go the John Wayne route about the self-made man, which kind of came from an era called the Gilded Age, which is one of my favorite eras to actually study in American history. I read a whole book on the Gilded Age. Actually, one of my games is actually based on what if the Gilded Age never ended, we never had the progressive era, where would we be? Which is really awful. It's a big corporatocracy based universe. But the point is, the Gilded Age actually formed a lot of the worst parts of America that we currently have today, because at that time, Rockefellers, the Carnegie, those guys all had the best spin doctors in the game.
Oh yeah.
And like, if God, I want to go too far. I feel like I'm like talking too much, but there's something
don't worry
a
about
really
it.
No,
cool.
this is interesting though.
a
We
really
geek out here.
So I just love studying history, but one of the most critical things that happened that saved America, this is very clear to me reading both this book and the previous book on the Gilded Age, is Theodore Roosevelt. Even though we
Yeah.
know of him as a conservative figure, he saved America because at one point in time there was something called Standard Oil, and it was bigger than the East India Company, right? One of the biggest corporations ever to exist. And they own like the rails, they own like all these small businesses. There's so much corruption going on. And the only reason why Theodore Roosevelt was able to save the day is because the president before him died. They put him on the ticket because he was so left-leaning in comparison to everyone else. They did it to make everyone stop complaining, right? So they put him on the ticket. That guy died, and his number one agenda, trust busting. So he went in and just took on these huge monopolies, using their own tactics against them. And they worked with
It says a lot though that the conservatives now don't like either Roosevelt.
well, yeah.
Mhm.
Because he created national parks, and those parks
Yeah.
could be used to create, I don't know, parking lots or something.
High rise,
so-
luxury,
Or find oil,
malls.
or find gas, or whatever else they
Capital.
want.
Union money laundering.
Exactly.
Yeah,
That
they just want
too.
to they want to gentrify it from all the wildlife. But you get it. So like, it was really crazy. And then he actually worked with like a really great reporter. I forget the term. There's a special term for this kind of reporter, but her father was ruined by big oil. So she actually went in and did all this kind of research and found all the ties of all these small railroad people that would give information to Standard, along with small oil groups that were then bought out by Standard. It was a the flow of information and all that. It's almost like the mob, that scenario. It's what Standard Oil was doing. And because of that and all this information working together with this reporter, they were able to take down and break them up. And now they're just 3 oligarchs. But still, I mean, at one point they were broken into 20 pieces, which is way better.
If you have any books to recommend, I am all ears. Like, I would love to
Oh,
read more
man.
about this
You have
book.
everybody's attention because even Son of Saint is like, oh, we're
Yeah,
locked in.
continue. Yeah,
Oh,
he's probably got the popcorn out and like a soda. He's probably just enjoying this. Yeah.
There's another like the Gilded Age book. Again, they always sound lame, but when you start listening to them, you're like, yes, this is amazing,
But
excellent.
the time period was amazing. A lot of people tend to forget how influential the Gilded Age was on everything.
It's great. Like the self-made man myth
Mhm.
came from that. Social Darwinism came from Gilded Age. All that crap that they talk about nowadays comes from this specific era.
Yep.
The concept of pulling up your bootstraps came from the Gilded era.
Yep.
Right? It's crazy. People
Yeah, but
nowadays
that's
don't
because
even know what.
all that jargon you're talking about was how to control the masses. Because if
Right.
you let the masses believe that they can actually get to where the rich people were, then all you need to do is work hard and you'll get over here.
Right.
But we have the game stacked against you, but don't worry about that.
No, it's just all hard work and elbow grease, right?
Right. I mean, they actually got their clues of how to run their empires through the Medicis. If you guys know who the Medicis were, like the Renaissance period,
Yeah.
the first spin doctors. So like they were like, we could make our images just as great as those guys. So like I think it was Rockefeller. It was either Rockefeller or Carnegie. But the concept was like, oh, I worked in like a newsroom as like a kid delivering the papers, but I got all the information and I was able to work my way from there to be a billionaire. Right. So it's like that kind of concept.
But
of
that's
like
falling apart now because you have this new generation coming in going, no, I'm not going to work hard.
What are you talking about? What are you talking about, Ralph? Jeff Bezos started out in a garage selling books.
Yeah, he certainly didn't get $300,000 from his dad or anything.
No, not at all.
Mr. Beast started out in a sofa in his living room, and look at where he is now, the richest person giving out tons of dollars. You telling me Mr. Beast lies to me?
By the way, I also have one more book to suggest for you guys too.
Go for it.
Go for it.
It's called The Great Utopian Works of Literature. It is fantastic. The understanding of what a utopia is and a dystopia is, and how it's like one concept can just shift it to a dystopia, or your viewpoints can make it a utopia. It's really good. And also it shows like the different eras, like the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s. I always love looking at the decades as an artist, looking at how these decades saw the future. And in this scenario, it shows like what people saw at that time period, what a utopia was and what a dystopia was. So it's another fantastic book to actually look into. And
I'm
my
going
favorite,
to binge all of these.
Exactly.
my favorite sci-fi my favorite sci-fi writer is actually Ursula K. Le Guin.
Good choice.
And like The Ones That Walk Away from Omelas is like such a powerful book. It's actually not even a book. It's just like a thought experiment. Do you guys know what that is?
Just a short story.
Right. It's primarily the concept of you have a perfect utopia. However, for this thing to run, there's one child underground being tortured every day to the max extent for this perfect society. Do you, with that knowledge, do you accept that one person's suffering is for the better of the whole society, or ethically is it wrong, knowing that this is what powers your utopia, to let it continue? So the concept is The Ones That Walk Away from Omelas can be conveyed as, possibly moving on to a different life, or moving away or making a stand against the way this utopia actually is, to create something greater or finding another opportunity.
I taught that book a lot, or that story a lot in my classes. I teach literature, and sometimes I do a thought experiment similar to that, and I actually talk about what about the people that come back to try to make some kind of change in Omelas, that kind of thought experiment, because it's so stunning and shocking what happens, and they take all the children from the city have to go and see that child that's tortured, and then some of them can't handle it and they have to walk away. But I ask the students sometimes, once you've walked away and you know what's going on there, would you come back to try to make any change? And I think that's an interesting way to approach it too, because it really is a fascinating story and really throws you off, because everything is utopian, and then all of a sudden it's really not. It's all kind of built on this really horrific house of cards.
Right. And then again, like I said, if one, depending on your perspective, it's a dystopia, right?
Mm-hmm.
because you know what it runs off of. It literally runs off the tears of children or a child, really.
Yeah, one child.
One child, but still, is that too much? You know. But
It's
this is the kind of stuff I love talking
Mhm.
about, by the way.
Oh, we can tell. We can feel the passion, and
Because-
as a writer, I can see that you've done your research, which is
Oh.
it's always amazing to see, because I know some writers these days, they look at a book and go, I've done my research.
Or
Well-
it's just like they're just looking at like how to write books and not looking at anything else. And it's like, okay, buddy, sure, you got the formula down, but like, what about the substance?
That's the same way we approach like our games too. So like that's why I do so much research. I like to study history and philosophy. Like I also love the thought experiments too. One of my favorite ones is actually the Hedgehog's Dilemma. You guys know what that is?
Sounds familiar, but I'm drawing a blank.
So I'm actually basing one of our games off this whole dilemma. So this is the idea. So picture this. It's the dead of winter, right? And there's a bunch of hedgehogs that are freezing to death, okay? But to survive, they need to get close to one another to share body warmth. What do you think happens to them when they get close?
Do they poke each other?
They do. They poke
That's
each other,
very
they hurt
sad.
each other, they bleed.
Oh.
So what do they do in reaction? They have to separate, right? They have to isolate themselves from one another. So even though they need each other to survive and they desire the warmth and care of one another, they can't because
Wow.
of that.
I'm gonna start
that-
crying.
It's an analogy for the human condition, right? But what I do in my games is I try to look at like solutions for those problems, right? And then I give that as an option for the player. So for my example, if I were to solve the solution, one would be simply take the pain, right? Accept the pain. It's just part of being a hedgehog, right? And there's days where it's going to be less painful than before. It's a great analogy. But the other one is instead of a hedgehog, date a turtle. They got a shell, natural defenses, you know? So there's a lot of different kind of solutions to these kind of like thoughts experiments. So and we kind of like tie that in with how we make our games.
Solution should be just eliminate all hedgehogs.
How dare!
All
We
they
like
do is
Sonic.
spread rabies and disease. They don't.
We like
connect
Sonic the
society.
Hedgehog.
Dang, the nihilistic viewpoint.
Exactly.
Nothing
It's the
matters.
truth, though. They just carry
Listen.
rabies and disease, and they kill their own
Listen.
children. Why should we keep them around?
Woo.
Wow.
I mean, listen.
Here I am about to crochet a bunch of hedgehog-sized sweaters to save them all, and this guy's just like, nope, just nuke them all. I don't care.
Just nuke them all.
I'll
Stick
give you
'em all.
I'll give you a better fact. I mean, similar to hedgehogs, possums are really cool. They can't get rabies, or at least they're resistant to rabies.
Correct. Possums
And-
only get negative reputation based on what people perceive of possums.
Yeah,
In
Yep.
reality, they
looks-
benefit
they
your
can- yeah.
ecosystem far more than any other species aside from raccoons in your own ecosystem.
But
Save your
raccoons
possums.
themselves can have rabies, and they got spooky little hands. So there you go.
They're
Just
nature's
Cliff,
ninjas.
just to throw something in at Cliff, because he's surprised to see Blake. But Blake's one of our guys. He's been here a couple times.
I just met him on Saturday
That's funny.
at the film
Small
festival.
world.
Clearly,
All right, go ahead.
you're like a magnet, Ralph. You just draw everyone in.
I'm a black hole.
The vortex of connection.
So I was just wondering, because like I kind of got thrown in here. I wanted just to be like, oh, this sounds super cool. Let's join. But how are you all like connected? Is it through like writing? Is it like film, books, geek culture?
Anime.
It's kind of just
Underground
like
nightclub.
finding stray
Anime.
animals and putting them in the same pen, I think.
Are we all animals? Is that what you're
Yes.
saying?
Yes.
Okay,
Yes.
I knew it.
Thus, we should
We are
all be
animals.
removed from the ecosystem. We contribute nothing.
like my
What if we're
science
the
teacher
dolphins?
used to say,
I don't believe
"You
in
are
that."
not animals. You are human beings."
We're
And what we used
consumers.
to say to him was, "We're not beings."
You,
I'm a
you know,
big-
it's,
I'm a-
I used to think that it was human beings, like BEANS, when I was little. And I was just like,
That's
I
what he
think
said.
Human beings.
human beings,
Yeah.
yeah.
I like human
You
beings.
plant
That
them in
sounds
the ground
great.
and they grow into a person.
Listen, I'm gonna take that somehow. I'll give you credit. That sounds great. I
Excellent.
like to write human beings.
Hey,
Fantastic.
come on, it makes sense. You got many kinds of beans. You got explosive beans. You got jumping beans. You got
Jelly beans.
jelly beans. Look at that.
Yeah.
I think your game's coming together.
Yeah.
Red
Don't worry.
bean.
We have, like I said, there's a reason why we need so many writers. Because the more choices, the better. That's the big things. People love
Well,
choices.
you know what happens if you throw a bunch of writers in a room, you're going to get a story.
Right. Whenever I think
They'll
of writers
threaten
in a
you
room,
with a good time.
I think of The Simpsons with the monkeys, and then
Put
it's
enough
like it
monkeys
was
in the room to write Shakespeare, and they're gonna
Exactly.
write
yeah, it was the best of times. It was the blurst of
worst of
times.
time.
You stupid monkey.
Oh man.
Also smoking a cigarette, very accurate to a writer. So there you go.
So Brooklyn, I see you're having a little bit of trouble. So let's get you out here and telling the people, because your show is this weekend, right?
I have cat issues. I have a cat over here. He's like fucking around my screen. And then my setup
Understandable.
is I just finished like redoing my PC setup, and it just like didn't work. So now I had to go fix it again.
Oh.
So yeah, I have. Thank you for having me on the show. I know
Oh, no problem,
I've
bro.
been like in and out with messages with you, but like it's been a busy 2 to 3 weeks.
Well, I had a feeling that getting in touch with you was going to be difficult, so I was like, let me just keep trying.
So it's I have a small team. It's like very small team. Like I have 3 colleagues of mine. My wife, who's like tremendously helping throughout the whole show, and then my mom on the side doing her own thing, trying to help around. So it's a small thing that it just started out last month. The idea came by like 2 3 months ago when I went to vend at different shows, and I saw that like lots of vendors didn't make enough profit, and they wanted to make more profit, but they couldn't because some of the shows didn't have enough exposure to the community.
Right.
And I noticed a lot of people in the cosplay community wanted to hang out at a certain place, but there's a little few places where they could hang out. So I
That's true.
thought, oh, continue.
Yeah, that's true. Go ahead.
No, so I figured, okay, let's create a community within the New York City region. You know, it's a big city. You don't hear much of anime like events, only like Comic Con, Anime NYC, lots of different big events, but they only happen once a year.
Mhm.
My idea that I wanted to continue on was let's do something monthly where people can come by once a month, gather around with lots of great vendors that come by and bring them all together. My vision with this was up and coming vendors that want to start out from the bottom and just grow their way up. I would try to help them the best I can to guide them on how to vend, or provide some guidance on what to do in terms of their vending. And aside from that, I try to bring in different cosplayer guests to bring more exposure to the show. Right now, this is our second edition of the show.
Mhm.
Our first show was a success, despite having different shows at the same day. But we managed to pull through together a wonderful show.
Yeah, the date for your last show was like right in the middle of a bunch of different shows.
Oh no.
I know. I my my colleagues and my friends told me you're so stupid. Why are you doing the shows when there's Woodbridge? There's this other con here, and there's this other con here, and I just said to myself, I didn't do my research. So let me just start off the first show. Let's see how this goes. And it worked out. We got sponsored by Tesso. We managed to get a good cosplay show, but it actually went through good. I actually have a YouTube video that I'm working on describing everything that happened the first day. So it's just like it's laying out my issues, what happened, what was wrong, and then I just like self reflect on the whole thing. It's something that's coming out within the next 2 weeks or so. But I learned a lot from the first one. Now the second one, we're gonna try to improve and make numbers go up. I already have a set calendar for the rest of the year, and we hope to have another show in August 17 and a 3-day show in October.
Nice.
And December, we plan to do a 1-day or 2-day show. We're not sure yet because it's like the holiday season time. So we have like big plans up and coming throughout the next up and coming months.
I gotta say it's impressive. I saw the different dates, and I was like, okay, he's doing something different here. And you're right. We usually have mostly other type of shows. The anime shows are very few and far between.
Yeah,
Very
no, it's very hard to find. Like lots of people go to Jersey, Connecticut, Pennsylvania. It's like, we're a big city. Why not create something here? Like people don't want to travel that much.
especially me.
Uh,
I'm very
Yep.
thankful you're in my area, literally a few blocks from my house, so I can
I
just
got-
walk.
Lucky.
I got lots of questions for you, actually.
Please
That's fine.
ask.
Yeah.
I have tons
What's
of
your favorite anime?
Ooh.
Okay.
Oh
So,
my
okay.
goodness.
Right
Look
away.
at us
That-
with the hard stuff right away.
Stop it there.
Okay. Okay, so I have like two. One is like very X-rated, and then the other one is like generic.
All right, let's go. Let's go.
So X-ray it's like an old anime called Sekirei. Sekiri, like some people call it Sekiri, but like it's about a young boy who comes by a girl and kisses her, and basically he creates a whole harem with that power. And so that's one. I think that's like one of yes.
I haven't heard of this. I'm looking into it, and
No, this is like old. This is like when I was in the high school. When I was in high school, I saw it. I read the manga, and it was like, oh wow. And I saw the anime, I'm like, wow, even better. It was only 2 seasons, and I said, okay, where's the rest of the seasons? But another one that I had that I enjoyed. What was the other one? I was reading the manga for it. So far, Solo Leveling. That's like the top notch right there. Like the new one, nothing comes by like better. But like I enjoyed it. Like I read the whole manga, but the way they interpreted the anime, it was like I something like I enjoyed it.
I heard
I
there
got
were a lot of things out of the anime that were actually in the manga, and fans were kind of upset about that.
Well,
The
you
way that
know,
they
when it
restructured
something's changed, and then like they had to improvise. It's like I know they did a dedication for the author of Dragon Ball in one of the episodes, which was in the manga. So it's like, it's a little thing that the artists figured, okay, let's put something in there so, people can see if they recognize it. Perfect. If not, it's okay.
Those are nice choices.
Yeah.
Very nice choices.
Hey, I have a whole list. I remember when I started out, people got me onto Naruto when it was like English stuff, and I said to my friends, so like I did not like the English stuff. I preferred the Japanese stuff.
I'm not the only one, man. I saw Naruto, and that Believe It stuff killed it for me. I tried watching the regular Naruto, and it's a better show, but all I hear in my head is Believe It.
Believe it.
I kid you not. I saw it when it was like after midnight on what was it, Toonami, and they put it, and I'm like, this is not interesting. I wait a couple of years. I saw Shippuden. I'm like, let me start from the beginning. Oh wow, this sounds so much better.
That's fair.
I ain't doing
no,
it.
No offense to the dubs, the dubs,
No offense to the dubs. Some dubs deserve to get a little offense.
Believe
or a lot
it.
of offense.
Well, a
Yeah,
lot of
believe
those
it.
old ones they didn't really care about dub at the time. The only one that kind of was a miracle dub was like Cowboy Bebop's original dub. Was
Oh
really
my
good.
goodness, yes.
It all comes down to who you had behind that booth.
Yeah,
Like
who was
Kids was having fun with their dubs. Like, let's be real here.
Let's never forget Sanji's voice actor originally. The 4 Kids, One Piece,
Listen.
Sanji's voice before they changed it. Oh my goodness.
I would say, like Four Kids ruined a lot of shows, but in my opinion, but the one that it's not even about the show, but there was an amazing opening song for an anime called Shaman King. You ever heard of that?
Yeah.
That English intro song is so good. It holds up so well. I listen to it nowadays. I'm like, I'm hyped. I'm hyped for whatever the show's about. But yeah, like that's the only thing Four Kids ever did that was good. But just make that weird rock song.
I don't know. The One Piece rap was good to me.
Yeah.
It lives in my head rent free. I know that there's debate, but
Yeah,
it's in my mind forever.
I get it, but it just feels like You look at the legacy of One Piece, and it feels like, it just feels so much. I mean, I get it. It's got that nostalgia factor, but when you really break it down to the rest of the series, you're like, man,
Yeah, I
poor
get
kids,
it. You take
evil,
off those
you evil.
rose-tinted glasses, and then you're like, oh, this was actually bad. Okay.
I mean, yeah, there's shows that I try to defend. I'm like, no, I can't. But I have like favorites, and then it's like objectively good anime out there. Because I think we had 2 heavy hitters recently that were really good. Free Ren, Journey's End. You guys have heard of that one?
Freerun's amazing.
That, especially people like, again, the older you are, the more you understand. Like, it's such the pacing of it is so wonderful because it's slow. It feels like what westerns did, to let things breathe. And it's not all about set pieces. It's about understanding and letting things sink in. It's great. The whole concept of what is time to someone who can live forever, and like living again by going through their past. It's fantastic. Also, Dungeon Meshi.
Yes,
Just because
Yes.
because Studio Trigger is just so good. It's like
it
great.
is.
So
Just recently
but
watched Dungeon Meshi.
two bangers. Like those series are gonna stand out for a decade, I think.
But
Really
but
good.
let's not forget that JJK exists, and JJK is another masterpiece. Mwah.
The animation. We should do like a round table of everyone's like favorite and whatever. I would say really quick, like they're actually remaking one of my favorite animes.
Ranma?
Ranma and a
Yes.
half. You knew it.
I
Yeah.
How did
grew
you
up.
know?
I grew up watching Ranma. That was my
Rumiko
childhood.
Takashi, baby, Inuyasha.
Yes.
Yeah. very good.
Inuyasha,
So
Ranma.
Ranma and a half was definitely one of my favorites. I think in terms of like that era, you ever heard of an anime called Escaflowne?
Yeah.
Yep.
It's
Yeah.
one of the first original isekai. How do you pronounce that? Is it
Isekai?
Isekai. There we go. Isekais that were before it got flooded with like low effort isekais. Because nowadays everything's like, I turn into a vending machine. I'm a sword. I'm a standard accountant in another world. I don't want to be another world in another world. I'm like, it's too many of these. Too many of these are flooded. But
Sword
again,
in
I think that
Another
was
World
first,
is a sleeper. I am telling you this right now. Sword in Another World is a sleeper.
with the furry as the I mean, I watched a little bit of it. It wasn't too bad. I think there's a couple of ones that shine. Like the villainous one is really good. Where she's like in an arrow.
Yes.
Arrow.
That one's
game.
also very good.
Right.
What
It
about
becomes like
the time I got reincarnated as a slime? Have you seen that
Yeah.
one?
That's a classic. Yeah. That's one of the first waves of it. I just really dislike Sword Art Online. I know that it's popular, but I freaking hated the writing in that series.
Yes.
6 episodes in, they're like, how about we completely depower our female main character and literally put her in a cage? I'm like, you guys suck. And then they try to do the tentacle thing on her. I'm like, this is even worse.
And
This
that
guy's,
creepy
like, just-
elf that held her hostage and was doing all
Grimgar
the
Fantasy and Nash is great. Love
Also,
that.
as a dev, by the way, what really irritates me is his hacking ability. He's just like a kid. So he's like, I touched this like mainframe, I hacked the whole thing and made a whole AI. I'm like, it makes me furious. That kind of logic. But anyways, that's Sword Art Online edgelord nonsense in my opinion. But
I heard it got really good around like Alicization. They kind of improved the writing a little bit.
All they do is have to take the main character away, Kiriko. Just as long as he's not in it, like it gets so much better.
It's good.
Gets so much better.
Yeah,
Just
I don't think I could get past like episode 3 or something of it when I was just like, this is just, I don't even know what I'm watching anymore. I'm gonna do something else.
I gotta say, Brooklyn, as you can see, because you started all this.
I hear.
I gotta say, how are you doing your con for $5? Because one of the problems is that these prices have gotten out of hand.
Also,
So
is it one day, by the way?
That's one day.
Yeah.
This one's one day. So basically, I noticed like Brooklyn Con, at Comic Con, every other con charges a ridiculous amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
That's where I just say to myself, it's kind of dumb. I have like a contract with like the venue. I was able to get in touch with one of the people that owns it, so like I was able to work out negotiate a good deal for the venue.
Nice.
The pricing that comes out very cheap, like in terms of how I run it down basically. But basically my vision is like, why should you overpay a large amount of money just to go see artists and vendors? So like $5 is the standard cost of at least a small cup of coffee these days.
That's
Mhm.
true.
I
Yep.
like to
Everyone,
I like to defend their decisions, by the way, just because I've been part of the con circuit for the last like decade.
Mhm.
And like we're actually just similar to you. Why I asked you if it's a one day. Like you can do it if it's one day, but it costs a lot when it's a multi-day event, especially 4 days. The amount of like planning, volunteers, support, sponsors, like dealing with the venue, dealing with like all the room and board kind of elements, guests, it's a lot because we're pretty tied with TMG or Too Many Games,
Right.
which is an OXPA, and we've also like just connected to the people at PAX too. We can see it,
Mhm.
but I also understand what you're trying to go for too, because the costs are going way higher.
Yeah.
Like depending on what kind of con you're going into. If it's like example, you guys know what GDC is, the Game Developers Conference.
Exactly. Mhm.
That's $1,000 a ticket. That's insane,
I think I
right?
just had a heart attack.
So like to
I was
me,
not expecting that.
but that's like because that's more of like a professionals kind of networking thing. A
That's
lot of
what I
like
thought.
first
I was
time.
going to say, as soon as you said that price, this sounds like a professional
Like
show.
this sounds like
But
a business.
a lot of students go there for the opportunity. They pay that $1,000. I'm like,
Woo.
lordy,
Wow.
$1,000 to work for free in California and then get ringed out after like a couple of years to be
No.
replaced by some outsourced company in Eastern Europe. Anyways, ranting about indies later, but
That's like a whole 3 hours right there at least.
I just want to say to you, by the way, great job. Like
Yeah.
running a con is really difficult. Like I just said, all those elements, it's crazy.
Yes,
Which is
it
why I'm working with a group called PGM, Philip Game Mechanics, and we're doing our whole an indie initiative. But we also plan to do a one-day event convention too for fundraising purposes. And we're also not going to charge any vendors there. Only time we're going to charge a vendor if they're selling something, just because of we have to pay the city something if someone sells something on the property. But
Right.
we plan to do something similar too. But the thing is that there's a lot of hidden tiny cons that exist everywhere. And one of
Oh,
our
yeah.
goals as PGM is to find them all. We want to find them all and direct them all and help them grow. Because like in the end of the day, these small cons like yours, they bring in money to the city. They bring in more notoriety for artists. They bring notoriety for people that are in the creative field. Because people being a con artist, you know, as hilarious as that sounds,
And con
is
artist.
it is a real occupation. People run the circuit, and you know they need to find. And a lot of things that we artists also like. Because I've been an artist, I've been a vendor, I've been an indie dev in the scene. I've been like on panels and stuff like that. And the thing is that, like, it's very difficult also to find the right convention because like. Okay, I'm gonna throw a little shade. Maybe I shouldn't throw a little shade. No
Yeah,
shade.
throw some shade here.
Right.
I'm here for it.
Okay. Well,
I'll put my sunglasses.
I'll be vague. How about this? I'll be vague. There is one con that has a better marketing department than it actually. Okay. Okay. I'm not gonna say a name. Being more descriptive gets too obvious. So I'll just say this. There was one con that universally it was bad for almost every single vendor, artist, whatever went there. Everyone took at least a 30% loss or just made their money back or maybe a little bit more and that's it, right? And if you're traveling to such a large event, again, this is a large one, or at least they market as a large one, it really kills an artist because like they have to sacrifice one con for another. They have to choose. They don't know
Yeah.
how good it is, so they have to use word of mouth, right?
Mhm.
And sometimes there's even cons that are abusive to their vendors, but they have to take it because they know it's a good sell con. If they make a career out of it, they got to bend the knee to a degree too. So we got hit by this con, and we're never coming back. But like I said, a lot of people also said the same thing about this con, and I just don't understand a con being that big, being so bad for their vendors.
Can you just mention it in the chat so I know what
Exactly.
to avoid? I've had those problems
Okay,
where I'm like, all right,
no one can see this, right?
no one can see.
No,
Just,
nobody
just
can see the
us.
private chat.
Between us.
Okay,
Oh,
that's it.
yeah.
Ooh.
I heard.
Specifically this one. Specifically this
Oh,
one. This one
Oh.
specifically. I did research last year, and I got a sense that it wasn't so great.
Yeah,
But
that's what I
like
heard.
there was an opportunity, you know, and we got some special privileges, so we decided to try it out, and we've never lost money on a con. But our lowest we ever made was 200% our table costs, right?
Right.
That's the lowest we've ever done ever. And so this one was our first loss, and we're like, this is so just empowering. But I did flip it in a positive way. So what I did was I used it to network. It was a great exposure con, which is great. So you
See,
don't put too much money
I'm
into
happy
it.
you said that because a lot of people need to know that even if the con goes the wrong way, make sure you make the best out of it. I know some people get
Yeah.
really upset when they're at the con and things go the wrong. No. If it goes the other way, you're not making money. Make sure you network, because these people there are a lot of them are amazing. A lot of them are helpful. You know, they'll help you out. So make sure, like Ken is saying now, make sure you network.
Yeah, don't sit there and sulk into your sketchbook and look angry the
Mm.
whole time. Like, go talk to people. And I
See,
say this
that's
as someone who used to sulk into my sketchbook, and then I finally learned better.
well. Here's the positive of the whole thing too. Like, part of my job as the owner too is that we have a head of production, right? So his job is actually to maintain the booth, make everything goes really fluidly. And my job is to network. So while he's running the booth, I check in here and there, but my job is to look for opportunities or just find talent. So a lot of the artists that we found came from conventions. We said, we really like your work, want to do an interview, we bring you in, we draft a contract, and if you're really good, we actually ask you to join the company. So that's how we kind of do it.
Nice.
Nice.
That's the way to do it. Yeah.
But
Yeah,
I also
people are like, can you just use Fiverr?
No,
Yeah,
yeah.
could,
Listen,
but-
we could. I would love to talk about freelance because you just talked about Fiverr. We also talked about AI earlier, but like, I got a lot to say about that whole thing. But
That's
one of
like
our
2 days worth of discussion right there, easily.
one of the major things that we do at our company is we try to stay as ethical as possible as a small indie. So even if you're volunteering, we still pay you. It's not a lot, but we always pay, and that's the thing. We want to be known to be fair to all our artists. But then again, we also have a pretty good vetting process too. There was only one time we ever had like a bad interaction with one of our employees. And that was just because of miscommunication, which is also very important to communicate when you're running a show, because things can always collapse, right?
Oh, that's especially when you're running a show.
Oh man.
Right. It's like I said, like more power to you, man. Like I'm excited to see your third one. Maybe I'll actually come up. I don't visit New York too much, but I'm willing to go to support some more local indies, you know. And I have a lot of people we can send your way.
So you know what we do, like over here at Brooklyn Anime Fest, we give everyone, like, we make the I don't know if you can see these, we make everyone their badges.
Let's go.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So we like custom made them with the, like, each one has a number for like our raffles that we do like at least 2 times a show. Every show is like different. You know, we make custom ones for our vendors too. Instead of like doing a simple vendor ID, we do a vendor ID with their logo and their socials on it.
Let's
And-
go.
And then I'm working with a platform called On Treasure. You know, as you can see, like we're working to try to see if we can get their payments through them. That way they can process credit cards, Venmo, all that stuff without having to do it themselves. So it's a new up and coming platform that we're trying to like use to, you know, you scan the code when you sell at the table, or if you're a buyer, you use the app to buy the stuff. So it's like a mix of both, just to make it easier for the vendor and the buyer at both ends. And also we also created like something like for this upcoming show, we're testing this out. We're like doing like goodie bags for each person. I don't know if you guys can see that.
Oh, nice.
Oh, nice.
So what we're trying to do with this is like we want to put a piece of every vendor in this bag where they have business cards or anything like promotional items in the bag, and then the guest comes in, they see, oh wow, there's a bunch of stuff. We're also trying to work with sponsors, you know, to provide promotional items that they could put into the bag. That way we can create a partnership with any company that wants to come by and promote their own business.
Nice.
So it's like something that we're working out.
I gotta
And
say,
then hopefully we
it's a good thing because the swag bag from cons they disappeared ages ago.
yeah, no, you got
No, go on. Sorry.
no, it's like it's a thing to you remember. Like we didn't get this in time for our first show. We were trying to get it for it, but I messed up on the date, thinking July 22nd instead of June 22nd. So I just like figured, okay, let's do it for summer. Better summer than the last month, because I had competition the last month. So I just figured, okay, let's start it out with the summer. Maybe.
Well, the good
We
thing
can get
is
something.
this weekend, there's a couple things going on, but you don't have that much competition this weekend.
I saw
unless
that.
somebody's going to San Diego, then that's a whole other thing.
Oh yeah, no, it's a whole different thing. No, I worked on when I worked on the calendar for the rest of the year, I looked at every show that's around. I know, like on August, Anime NYC, so I did it a few weeks before Anime NYC.
Right.
Then October, my goal is to catch anyone that's lingering from Comic Con to come by. So let's say someone's like there for a week. Let's say, oh, there's another show. Let's just go there for another week. Stay in New York. So that's like the tactical move I'm taking on that note.
That's actually a good
Also,
idea.
that's also where the low cost admission comes in, because someone might be like, oh well, I can't afford to spend $40 to get into another con, but when you're like, it's like $5, like why
I
not?
got $5.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, like it's $5. It's like I figured, okay, should we do 10 or 5? I'm like, oh yeah, $5 and anyone can spare $5 for a piece.
What I like about that $5 is that if you have a family, you can go.
Yep.
Once it goes above $5 and you have a family, it starts to get difficult.
Yeah, if you have like 3 kids and then it's like $40 per kid and then like $60 for an adult ticket. Yeah.
So the fun thing about this is like kids under 10 are free. So that's one thing that we provided. So we try to make it more family orientated, where like all the kids can come. But we try to keep it at a low cost. So like for our 3-day show, we're trying to do where it's $10 for the 3 days or $5 each day.
Nice.
It's common sense. Like if you don't want to spend the $15, just spend the $10. If you don't go one day, okay, you don't lose money.
Yeah.
But
also, that gives people more money to actually spend, like in the con, spending on vendors, buying food, buying stuff for the kids. Like it's a good move. It helps
we have
things around.
Yep, we have like so at this show we have like the bar, the cash bar. Basically, we have drinks, alcohol drinks, whoever wants to drink, like a whole vibe.
Premium.
Yep, we're gonna have Sapporo. We're gonna
Let's
have
go.
We're gonna have nutcrackers. So the Brooklyn vibe, nutcrackers. That's something that we're adding on to the show. We might have a bartender. We're still like finalizing that note. Where if you want a customized drink or an anime drink, we're trying to like custom made our menu where it's like anime vibey.
Could I get the Gojo?
So we could get the Gojo, and we're working on the menu. It's like we're 2 days beforehand. So it's we're on tight schedule, but we're like trying to push it through completely. But we also have like food vendors that are outside, cooking up, tacos, burgers, whatever, like comfort food.
Everything through, okay.
So like our first show, we had the food in the show. The problem was this venue didn't have enough ventilation. So I said, oh shoot, what do we do here? Should we put it by the window? Should we do it outside? And I figured, okay, I told the vendor, you do it outside, you have more exposure outside and inside, because you're gonna have the community that walks by, because it's a shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's a shopping district, and they like said, okay, perfect. So we have like we resolved that, and we expanded that area where the food vendor was. That's gonna be in this upcoming show, games center, where people can play video games. We hired one person that does the video games, where they bring in their video games, and they set up about 3 screens, and everyone can play games. Nice. And we also have like a social hub where we put board games on each table, and people can just play Uno, Jenga, any board game, and they could just chill and vibe. They don't have to just
not Monopoly, because that encourages violence.
Yeah, you're making it into an experience.
That's the given goal. We want to give the community somewhere to chill, somewhere to vibe. At the same time, enjoy the rest of it. Like this Saturday, we're gonna have a cosplay contest and a karaoke contest at 2 different times, and I also have one person performing. I think his name is Space God. I'm not sure if you guys heard of him. He's like a local singer, so he's gonna sing some songs. Get him some exposure to the Brooklyn area. But that's what we try to do. Like we try to give an opportunity to anyone that wants to start up from somewhere to come up and like grow.
I love it. I like what you're doing. I really do. It feels again, like you actually thought everything through and you figured out a way to get things done without having to go too crazy.
It feels
No,
like what a con should be, actually.
Exactly.
Like, a lot of cons have lost their soul, and then there's like celebrities here, do this, do that, signings, whatever, and it's like
Going
it
back to
should
the
be-
roots, what
Yeah,
it used to be.
exactly. And I
Yeah.
love
Now
that.
all we need to do is find like pirated VHSs inside someone's trunk, and then we got the perfect anime con vibe.
Don't you talk
That-
about my history.
There's an idea.
You need to copy your DDR somewhere with the
Oh my
The
goodness.
DDR
Loloy
machine.
TV.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
Make sure only one
still
side
DDR.
works for some reason. But
All right,
I would
Cliff.
say the ones that kind of lost the way are the big ones. Like we're talking about Gen Con. Like that becomes its own like level size of a con. But anyways, different story, different day.
All right,
Ralph,
Cliff.
Ralph, it's July. It's July.
Right, it's called Christmas in July. And Cliff is right here talking about his beautiful little Christmas books because, you know,
This is the
24th, 6 months exactly till Christmas.
Your timing is perfect, Ralph.
Oh, wow.
It's impeccable, and I guess this is the Christmas portion of the program, right?
Exactly.
Please explain to us why we are having Christmas in July.
Dude, you know it's a thing, right? It's not I'm creating this.
Real
It's
talk,
I'm
easy.
trying to make a
discount
segue for
stores-
him, okay? You're ruining
He
his
can
segue.
segue. He can go.
Some of my
It was-
discount stores are already selling Christmas stuff, by the way. Just
Oh
saying.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh.
no question about it.
Christmas before Halloween?
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's
Yeah, exactly.
there's a movie Christmas in July.
Yeah.
Yes,
So-
I know the movie.
Exactly. So here we are. This is how many times have I been on?
Oh, you've
Usually
been on a couple
in
times.
December, it's the second or third week of December. So here I am.
Yeah, we've done 2 Christmases in July, and we've done like 3 regular Christmases.
Have I done one in July before with you?
Yeah, we did it
Yeah,
last
you
year.
have. And we
She-
did the same exact bit.
Yeah, I don't remember. I wasn't around in July last year, but I do remember you from like Christmas.
Yeah, this is an indication of what's happened to my memory over the years. I do remember Ralph, though, clearly.
Hi.
You've met me tons of times before too. Am I? I get it. I get it.
Well, Nathan, in all fairness, you're just a dare at this table right now.
He's just a disembodied voice. He's not even real.
Aw.
All right.
I'm sorry, Shen. I'm not real.
I didn't want to break the news to you like this, Shen. I'm apologize.
I mean, are any of us really real? We're in the
No.
simulation. We gotta
Well,
wake
I know
up.
I'm not real. so-
I'm just waiting to clip through the floor at this point.
The back rooms. I
This
just
is
wanna
the
get-
whole reason why we're having Christmas in July.
Exactly. Go,
We
Cliff.
need something fun.
Well, what do you want to ask me, Ralph?
Dude, give him the spiel. You got to give him the spiel. I know what's going on, but the public out there doesn't know. There's 10 people-
What
there's
is
10
Cupid?
people that came into the room right now. I
Cupid.
need to know.
Cupid is Santa's favorite reindeer. From you. Am I going to go through all the 12 right now? I don't think so. But because it's midnight and I've been up since about 4 a.m.
Woo!
But Cupid, yeah, it's one of the reindeer, and it's in this book. It's Santa's favorite reindeer. But
Not
Cupid-
Rudolph?
Actually, in the original draft of this, Cupid used to torment Rudolph, but Rudolph got written out before it ever made it into becoming a book.
Oh, my
But
goodness.
but Cupid is he likes if well Ralph, can you put the back cover of the book on, or us? Actually, I could. I can show it here, but this is Cupid for you.
Oh, there you go. Hold on. I can put you up. That's easy.
Oops.
Uh-oh.
Your
Where's it?
thing's blocking out. the
You're
book.
blurry.
It's a little blurry.
It doesn't recognize it as a face, so it's blocking it out.
Oh, that's
It
right.
knows what's behind
There they are.
there.
There they are.
There it goes.
Let's go.
Classy.
Yeah.
So classy.
So that's Cupid for you. He's and he's Santa's favorite, but really, ultimately, what happens in the story is Santa wants to retire. He's burnt out. It's kind of a metaphor for what's become of Christmas in our universe here. If that's me.
This is a good way to show off what you're talking about. Look, right there.
There we go.
Yep. That's him. That's the guy.
That's the guy, the icon. Get your naughty on.
So This is about the reindeer, and
Well, the first book is about the reindeer. The reindeer, Santa wants to retire, and on his last go round around Earth, because he really doesn't want to be doing it anymore. They make a pit stop in Greenland, and Cupid runs off because he wants to be free. He doesn't want to be on the reindeer team anymore. So ultimately, I mean, this is, I guess, is in terms of giving it away. Spoiler alert! You know, he gives Cupid his freedom. That's the gift he gives him. The second book. Do we have any Mrs. Claus images, Ralph? There we go.
can we show any Mrs. Claus images?
Ah,
Good question. Hold on. Let's see what we
From
got.
what I remember, I believe it was a no.
She was really naughty.
she's gotten her naughty on in the past.
Yeah, because over here, hold on. You just have the back cover, which is not even the front cover.
I think when the website was originally done, yeah, that's the back cover, or like sort of a simulation of what would have been a front cover.
Right.
That's how far back this. So was before that book even came out. That image from the website, but I think if you go to the front page of the website, rather than the books, I think there's a whole bunch of images there. If you click on Cupid's Farewell Christmas.
There.
Up in the upper left corner. No, up in the upper left corner.
Text.
The text where it says Cupid's Farewell Christmas. That should take you to the home page.
Oh, right there.
Yes. I think there's
I don't know. The homepage was just snow before. Hey, look, I know this guy.
Oh, who said that? What an
You know,
intelligent.
I don't like
I
the written Writ Ralph.
wholeheartedly recommend this book.
I'm not a big fan of the written Writ Ralph's ideas. Now, Arc Raphael is another person who I really respect their opinion, but the written Writ Ralph, I'm not sure. I don't think so.
Yeah. For some reason.
So we're only getting the quotes. I wonder where the images are. There's a whole slider on that front page.
Well, it's a good thing we find out now. That way you can fix it.
No, it's on there. I don't know.
That's so weird. Okay, yeah.
Is it designed for mobile?
It may not be. Yeah, it might be just the conversion through.
Oh, so it might be just that it looks good on mobile and not on the regular computer?
No, I think it's designed for computer, but it should be designed for mobile too. But there's a whole bunch of pictures of Mrs. Claus there.
That's why when I had it up before, I was like, I just see snow.
Yeah, I see the snow.
So what's Mrs. Claus Tells All? What is this about? Are we finding out how Mrs. Claus bakes the cookies?
No, she doesn't.
Is that a
cookies.
euphemism for something else?
It wasn't before.
Well, it is now.
Well, look, folks, I put the link over here in the comment section. You go press it and tell me what you see.
I saw snow. I checked.
You saw snow too?
Yeah.
So it's not
snow
just
and
me.
wood.
Okay.
No, it's not. Websites are hard.
And the funny thing about a website is they'll be working 1 minute and they won't be working another minute.
They won't be working when you need it to.
Exactly.
That's the worst part.
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of images on the homepage of the website of Mrs. Claus and of Cupid's Farewell Christmas. But Mrs. Claus, she was a former High Latitudes beauty queen, and she had another love before Santa, but then she fell for him. He romanced her with his guitar.
Oh, you gotta love it, man.
But she's really the one who runs the show. Santa is a bit of just like in the first book. He wants to retire. He's a bit of a mope. He's an icon, but he's not always a jolly Saint Nick. And
relatable.
And so she's the one who bucks him up all the time. And once again, well, one of the things that he always says is it's not the same out there. There would be the cover.
It's a nice little Christmas cover.
Very festive.
And then there's the back
this
cover.
is actually the Amazon where you guys can go buy the book right now if you
You
want.
can go buy the book. You can go buy Cupid's Farewell Christmas also.
And just so you know, if you like that other cover, look, it's the back cover.
But this is actually the actual back cover, because the other one because she's got a tail too.
I gotta say, man, you know, Miss Claus tells all. I feel like we're gonna be getting some stuff here.
What is she telling? What can you tell us about what she has to tell?
Well, a
Ooh.
wonderful segue. I will tell you right now, there is a live stream of Ralph reading this book on Christmas. And I remember this very well. He did it like a nice little picture book. Every time he read it, he showed us the page. It's up on the site somewhere.
That's right. That's
Amazing.
So,
Oh yeah, I went
if
all
you're
Christmas
feeling a
that
little
year.
cheap, but you also want to support, go watch that live stream of Ralph reading Mrs. Claus Tells All. And if you like it enough, don't forget to buy it
I
off
was
of Amazon right
good.
now.
I left it hanging, so you have to go buy the book anyway. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Ralph, we're trying to get people to watch it, not.
I think you said it at the beginning of the show. The first line of the book is, "Some of you doubt that there's a woman behind every great man."
Yep.
I think so. You actually nailed it. I don't know if maybe you read the book at some point, or remember Ralph reading the book.
It's a thing that is said. It is said a lot.
For sure, it's not a wholly original line, but in this context, I suppose it is. But with Ralph and him reading the book, now that I can, my memory is starting to come back. Ralph has this baritone that's just booming, so it kind of always made for a very interesting contrast.
Bread.
What's that?
We need Ralph to just start chanting bread.
Do we?
Yes.
But
Ralph,
it makes for
chant bread, please. We need it for reasons.
Don't do it, Ralph. It's a trap.
Keep talking.
Come on, Ralph. Let's hear it.
Come on. Bread.
Bread.
So enthusiastic.
Bread.
You can tell he's really into it.
Give me the bread.
But his voice is so unlike any conceivable Mrs. Claus that I could ever have. So make for a much better Santa, for sure.
I read that one too.
I know, and that was New York Comic-Con.
New York Comic-Con. Okay, I can't believe it's been 6 years, man.
Time is an illusion.
We
really
ran into
is.
him in the middle of it was a tighter place too back then. The indie section, right?
It was the indie section.
Mm-hmm.
Was it Artist Alley?
Well, it's not. It wasn't Artist Alley. It's that
No.
that little indie section that they
The
have.
little indie section.
And it was much different than it is now. Now there's a lot of room in there. Back then, doing an interview was like, I'm trying to do an interview and let people pass at the same time.
Yeah, and we had like different Santas, because
Yeah.
in Cupid's Farewell Christmas, the first page of that one, Santa's got to carry a shotgun now.
Yep.
And then it kind of carries over into Mrs. Claus, because he's climbing on, he's about to go down a chimney and someone pops out of the chimney with an AK.
Damn.
And this is another one of the reasons why he's kind of not too into being Santa anymore. But I think at that first con, yeah, exactly. And then I think at that first con, we had a bunch of different Santas, like one different one.
One
each
had
day.
a shotgun. Yeah.
Yeah, well, I think they all had the shotgun.
I still think my favorite one is Nick Claus from
Nick Claus was he was the best. He was totally the best. Because he was like the anti-Santa.
Exactly.
He's
no
a person.
Beard, very fit.
He's a personal trainer, and he's totally jacked. And he
Yep.
wore this like Santa tuxedo, and he would just like kind of like to walk around and meet girls. So he would go around and
Asking
meet
them
Nick
to go
Claus.
on the naughty list.
Yeah, he's like, "How did you get on the naughty list?" And we would go around and film it, and sometimes they would just giggle, but sometimes they would actually start to give some details. But then I remember one time we were there and we were kind of asking. There were these guys dressed up as South Park, and they kind of had some really strange story about their own naughty list. But usually Nick Claus would be going up to the women and asking them how they got on the naughty list. So he was always our best Santa.
Imagine if one of them was like, "I killed a man dressed as Santa Claus. That's how I got on the naughty list."
That's
what
how
I would have said.
It's funny when we'd have our tables at these cons, we would try to build our mailing list.
Yeah.
And we had two sides on the clipboard, like the naughty list and the nice list. And the naughty list would have like 400 names, and the nice list would have like 3.
People know who they are.
Exactly. Or maybe they were just kind of fantasizing. They really were on the nice list, but they just like were pretending they were on the naughty list. But yeah,
in this day and age where everybody wants to be the bad guy, I can see it.
Yeah. But yeah, it's usually 3 or 4 on the nice list.
That's so funny because in real life, so many people are like, "Oh, but I'm such a nice person." I'm like, everyone's signing the naughty list. They know where they belong.
Yeah. Or
I say the opposite. I'm a bad person.
So you wound up on the nice list, Ralph.
I don't know how.
Trying to fool somebody, right?
So yeah, you were gonna tell us how you met Blake. Since Blake is in the chat talking there. How did this whole thing happen, and I hear you won something?
Yeah, it's funny because you asked me to come on and do Christmas in July. I'm always happy to talk about it, but it's weird because these books, they sort of have like a 1 month a year life. So it was kind of interesting to sort of like have them surface for a couple of hours today, halfway through. But really, I've been kind of working on this other project. It's a TV series, and the pilot just was at the Bergen International Film Fest, and I met Blake over there. But it won Best Unproduced Screenplay. The
Nice.
pilot script. Yeah, thank you.
Congrats.
So that's sort of the project that's sort of front and center right now. And I have this other book project that I'm working on, which, it's funny talking about naughty lists and nice lists and, bad Santas and all that. But this is, this other project is really of the good list. It's sort of this, it's kind of a children's book, but it's not it's a little hard to explain, but it's, and I don't want to talk too much about it now because it's still, I don't want to put it out there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And, I'm working on it with a partner, not Sonny. Ralph gets the reference.
I love Sonny.
Yeah, no, I love Sonny too, but Sonny is.
No, I know. That's why I'm adding that in there.
Yeah. Actually, someone asked me, he's like, "Oh, you're gonna have Sonny come on and work on this other project?" And I was like,
"Oh man,
no.
Sonny's a card." It's so funny because you'd be fantastic working with you again.
No, he's great, and like to work the tables with him is great, and his work. I mean, his art is
amazing.
Totally amazing. Mm-hmm. And but if I put him on this other project, it would be like 2052 when it'd be finished. So, but it's really it's a project about, it's kind of for children, but like we call Mrs. Claus and Cupid kids books for adults.
Yeah.
And in some ways there's other projects like an adult book for kids.
Well, you're going in the right vein anyway. You've already done the adult books for kids, or the kid books for adults.
Kids book for adults. But this one, it's about, it's a little bit spiritual. It's a little bit about mindfulness. It's a little bit about brothers. It's about a bunch of different things. And it's in some ways, I mean, the illustrations, I didn't do the original art, but I kind of have illustrated it, and it's sort of a book of poetry in some ways too. But the poetry on each page becomes sort of an affirmation. Let's say it's really interesting, and the whole thing kind of came about by sort of
accident.
But like divine accident. It's a
like
strange thing.
Yeah,
nice. It's been really an amazing experience, and it's kind of just that and the script. I've been the script kind of got done a few months ago, and then this other project came, and it just sort of happened, and kind of has taken over my life a little bit for the last couple of months, but in the best ways.
Yeah.
And it just kind of got finished, the illustrations part, and like we went through 2 rounds, and I kind of, like I said, I did the writing, but also took the original art and created it, illustrated it in a very specific kind of way, which is new for me too. The extent of my illustration work is like doing stuff for Cupid's Farewell Christmas on Instagram. But with
you're ahead of me in my little stick figures, so.
But with with the pilot script, I did a pitch deck, and so I do stuff like that, and then all of that kind of came together with this other project, and one day we'll talk about that one on the show when it's ready.
I was just, as you were talking, I was like, okay, so we get them back in a couple months, before Christmas or after Christmas, or that means we get you back for Christmas and then after Christmas, or maybe before Christmas, depending on how fast you set this stuff up.
Well, it might kind of be ready. And actually, I don't know the first name of previously Pluto, because I just see his name
Ken.
on the script. Ken. Because it's interesting, because they were originally, when she first did them, my partner on this, she conceived them as cards.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, and sort of like mindfulness cards, and
mindfulness cards. I like that.
Yeah, and it was sort of, so what he was showing for the film noir cards, kind of like struck me like, oh, it was kind of similar, because we've been talking a little bit that maybe the card, before it even becomes a book, they could be just cards.
That's a good idea.
Yeah, and see, there's still like a little bit of writing to do. I want to introduce each page with, like a 300-word kind of introduction, to give it a little bit of gravitas.
Right.
And it's not making sense because you don't see the illustrations, but they're very light. They're, it's like rainbow colors and clouds and things like that.
It all sounds really positive.
It's really positive. It's, but I don't think with the card version, it would need necessarily the introductions.
No,
we can kind of put that,
whatever you want to put on the card. Yeah,
exactly. And then once it, take that step, and then when it becomes a book, you have the introductions.
Hear ye, ladies and gentlemen.
Exactly. So that's there's that project, and like I said, there's this TV show, which is not a TV show yet.
Well, if you won an award, that says a lot already.
Well, it just won the award at Bergen, but it also won Miami Screenplay Awards.
Oh, you got 2 awards.
That's
better than what I was thinking.
Yeah. What's that?
You got a lot of street cred.
Exactly.
It's been kind of amazing. And when I got it was funny, when I got the email from Miami that it won, I was like at my children's swimming lessons. I was like in this high school swimming pool gym, and I'm like kind of bored, and then I'm like, oh, I'm gonna check my emails, and I'm, holy shit. And I said to my wife, should I show her the email? I'm like, script just won Miami. And I was like, okay, there we go. So it's got some legs, but that's a tough road to hoe. It's not like putting out a book.
Oh, no.
It's you get all the stars have to align.
Yep. The good thing about now is that you can actually take a bit of your script and probably get a little bit of something together if you're able to do that, and that way you can show off what your idea.
Well, actually, it got into, and I'm kind of waiting to hear from it. It got it's really genre bending. It's about a kid who's like this really talented artist whose girlfriend is a really powerfully psychic kind of a practitioner, and she can leave her body, but she ultimately she disappears to protect him because he's like kind of involved in this criminal racket.
Okay.
But he's totally on the wrong path in life. He should be doing his art, but he's involved in these other things. And
I know a couple of those people.
Relatable.
yeah,
Me and my team.
and she basically disappears to sort of recalibrate his destiny for him. Yeah, and so basically what it got, so it kind of gets into different kinds of festivals and different, so it got into a horror. It's not really a horror. It's,
I can see why though.
Yeah, I call it it's hard to categorize, but I call it a supernatural thriller.
Mm-hmm.
But it also just got into sci-fi and fantasy, and they're supposed, and what you were saying, they're supposed to do about, I think, 5 or 6 pages and record it, a table reading.
I love
so
that.
I'm kind of, I heard that they're doing it, but I haven't heard when, and I haven't.
Oh, let us know. We'll share the hell out of that.
Yeah. So I'm kind of waiting to hear on that, and it's out at I'm kind of waiting to hear from a couple other ones too. Big Apple, it's entered in Big Apple too, so I'm kind of hoping that one it catches there. And it's totally hit or miss with these things. I mean, one festival gobbles it up, and another one it's like, oh, thanks, thanks for submitting, and they give you this form letter. It was really difficult to everything was so great, but we had to make our choices. Those kind of letters.
Yeah,
so,
we know those. I
We've had lots of
very
qualified applicants, and we are sorry
Exactly.
to say
I
that
know
we are
those very
choosing not
well.
to go forward with you at this time. Can you tell I get a lot of those?
It's imprinted in the mind.
Yeah, I see it in my sleep. It's terrible.
Yeah, but it's really exciting, and I mean, it came from a novel that I wrote and published like 11 years ago.
Ooh.
And I kind of want to put it back out. I met a guy. I could tell this story now because it's still such a total mindfuck that it's hard to believe sort of some of the things that happened. But I took my son to a Yankee game, on free tickets from like Poland Spring Water. They're like, hey, Poland Spring customer, do you want free tickets to the Yankee game? I'm like, yeah. And so we went to the Yankee game, and we're about to leave. It's cold. It's May. My son wants ice cream, so I get him ice cream, and we don't go back to the seats. We go back. We go and sit at the handicapped area platform, looking over everything. And there's 2 guys to the left of us, and we're eating the ice cream, and a ball sails right over our head and bounces around, and the guy next to us dives on the ball, squirts out loose. I step on it. He looks at my son. He's like, you can have it. So my son got a ball. First baseball game. We get on the subway, get on the 4 train, and there's a couple there. And my son is, of course, over the moon. He's like, I just went to my first Yankee game, and I got a ball. And my son's name is Blake, by the way. That's why I told Blake, who's on the call here, that I'll never forget his name. So anyway, we get on the train, and my son's over the moon. He's shows these people the ball, and she says, it's my first Yankee game too, and I got a ball also.
Wow.
Yeah. Okay. And so they're fast friends. He sits next to her. They're talking. They're from Minnesota, and I start talking to her husband, and as I'm talking to her husband, just having this kind of light conversation, and I keep saying to my son, hey, Blake, tell her about this. Hey, Blake, tell her about that. And the husband says to me, his name's Blake? My name's Blake too.
That's a lot of Blakes.
Yeah, well, especially in that context with 2 people first, what's the chances of running into someone who has gotten a baseball? Like, how many people walked out of that baseball game?
Exactly.
Like 10 out of 35,000, maybe. So it turns out that he's also a children's book author and has a publishing company.
Wow.
So yeah, my uncle was classified as a Mensa math genius when he was 4 years old, and I was telling him that story. He's like, oh, I couldn't even possibly figure out the odds of that.
That's a lot of math.
I don't even want to try.
Yeah, so that whole thing kind of blew my mind. So in any event,
talk about predestined.
So I had a meeting with him because with all this going on with the script, that came from that novel. I had a meeting with him about, maybe reissuing the novel.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So that's my array of projects right now.
Dude, you're
You
busy.
got a lot going on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I feel like everybody in this room right now is just like busy as heck.
That's why I don't sleep much.
That's
Relatable.
our call.
I'm always tired.
Yeah.
I just wish, but my mind's too active, so I can't sleep.
Yeah.
I
There's too many things I
understand.
want to do.
We
I-
get it.
We definitely get it.
I sleep
Yeah.
3 hours and then I wake up and then I'll
Yeah.
sleep like an hour.
Yeah.
Maybe I'd probably not even 3 more, just like an hour and then another hour and then I'm up.
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
Yeah, that happens to me too, but also it's because of my cats just walking on my head while I sleep. Very rude.
They're trying to help. Massage.
We're gonna massage the ideas into your head.
No, they're just using me to get to the window. I'm just a stepping stone to their actual goal.
So
Oh.
maybe
So
we should-
however they come, right?
Yeah, exactly. So Cliff, tell them one more time where they can find you.
Well, you can find me on Instagram. That's probably, again, I don't do that much on it. I mean, you can find me on LinkedIn, but this, for these books, it's, Cupid's Farewell Christmas by Evan and Quinn. And there's links, if you want to check out the books. I don't know if, again, I don't know if the links on the website will take you
Yeah,
to the pages.
the way I got to the Amazon book was by using the link.
Yeah, I think it's best if you want to check out the books to go through the links on Instagram.
All right, so
That's the one. I'm far more adept.
And the Instagram is Cupid's last Farewell Christmas, right?
Yeah, Cupid's Farewell Christmas. Yeah, that's the one with the ampersand. But the whole page is Cupid's Farewell Christmas.
Exactly.
And Mrs. Claus Tells All by Evan and Quinn.
Folks, go check it out. They're fantastic, and we're going to be calling on Mr. Clifford to show up for a couple more shows, so we can pick his brain and talk more about these other projects he's doing.
And we're supposed to do a Joseph Campbell show too.
Oh, that's a definite. That's still
Yeah.
happening. It's just that every time I get the right group together, the other people drop.
Oof.
I will do a Joseph Campbell show anytime, Ralph.
Love
that.
Joseph Campbell.
Yes.
I think it's going to be me and you doing Joseph Campbell.
All right. You know where to find me.
All right, Ken. Tell them where they can find you, all the good stuff. Give them the spiel. Go for it.
Me?
Yep, Ken.
Oh,
You are the
what
only
part-
Ken in the room.
Oh, great. Oh, I have all the energy then.
Yes,
Um,
yes, you do. You are Kenough.
You are
Talking
Kenough.
about like submitting my the links and stuff, or just talking about our next initiative for Philadelphia.
Well, if you want to talk about that too, but let them know where they can find you.
Oh well, yeah, you can. We actually had just opened a store recently,
Mhm.
so if you go to store.previouspluto.com,
I
there
saw
you
that
can.
here in the private chat. Hold on, I'll put it into the chat so people don't go, Ralph, that's too hard. I don't want to go look for it.
I don't want to type anything. Just click
Exactly.
the link. Just click the link.
Right. So we actually just converted to Square, which is really great. Just trying to put everything in one location. So there you can get the main game. You can get the Kickstarter edition, which is special, where you have the Goon cards themselves are faceless, but in the Kickstarter edition, they actually have the faces of our backers. And you also get 6 unique art cards that are specifically just for the game. They don't really do anything. They're just for collectibles, but it's super cool. We also have 2 expansions out. One's called the Red Light expansion, which adds vices to the game. So primarily
Ooh.
in that, the mechanic of that game is that not only does it add new characters like the Madam and the Boot, yeah, what is it? Boot? Yeah, anyways, the Rum Runner pretty much character,
Right.
and then but it adds the concept of the pot. So primarily a big element of the game is you add this giant pot of very valuable cards, and everything kind of antes up that pot until you try to get it. It's a kind of like you're trying to get your agenda, but you're also trying to win all these cards at the same time. And there's also 3 ways to play in that expansion, where you can either make it roulette, where it's simple, where you just get all the things cards, or you can do you can if you look at store.previouspluto.com, you can look at these images. Yeah. so you can scroll down and click on them. So yeah, those are our 3 expansions. So the one on the right is the red light expansion. So it adds roulette, poker, or blackjack. And those are the 3 games you can play. And on the left side, there's something called the Above the Law expansion, and primarily that is the concept of cops to the game, or patrols.
Ooh.
And we add 2 new characters. We add the vigilante and the philanthropist. And
I have a
obviously,
feeling just by this picture here that it was a vigilante.
I was about you never really see them in the same location. How interesting. And primarily, what happens is these patrols will affect the rows and the columns in the game.
Nice.
So and like they all represent different like motifs of the cops in the film noir era. So those are the 2 things. What's really cool about it is they both fit perfectly inside this box. So it's designed to fit inside this box. So you can actually play both expansions at the same time too, which is really cool. But that's primarily our game that we actually have online to actually purchase and sell. But we plan to expand the store further as we get more and more projects into production. That is.
And you got a lot of stuff you're working on, and I do like the fact that you're giving back to the community.
Oh yeah, like I said, one major thing that we're doing, and actually, let me pull up a link. So there's something called the Philly Game Mechanics. Originally, my team was working with a group called the Fellowship, and we still are working with the Fellowship. But the general mission, and I said this off camera, but I'll say it again. So primarily, in game development,
We'll make it big, like we were talking about in the green room.
Yeah, we're talking about it in the green room. You see, so there's a big issue in game development for the East Coast, right? So here's the problem. Because all the studios are on the West Coast, everyone knows they're on the West Coast.
Yeah.
Everyone that trains or does work on the East Coast in the game development field end up going to the West Coast. Right?
Oh yeah.
In fact, many students I talk to, I ask them what they can do after the graduation is they're gonna move to the West Coast, even without prospects, right? Because that's how much they want to be in game development, right? And the thing is, because everyone knows all the studios are on the West Coast, it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy where they all end up going to the West Coast. And then we don't have a scene here on the East Coast. So we have like 2 large studios like Bethesda and Take-Two, well, publishers really. And they have like 1,000 on the other side. And Vancouver too. The Canadians are taking our jobs too in that regard. But primarily we're working with the Philly Game Mechanics for a new initiative. And this whole idea is to support local indie devs, either being digital games, tabletop, or TTRPGs, or anything within the field itself. We're trying to even expand just to general creatives, right? So if we're able to give indies the support, they can grow, they become bigger, make more projects, hire more people, like create that scene that we kind of need here to have that kind of representation. And I think that we're missing a good chunk of opportunities for so many creatives to stay here and make something new, right? So that's the general goal of the Philly Game Mechanics. And what we're doing right now is we're looking for information on who are the active developers in Philadelphia, being it, again, digital tabletop or TTRPGs, finding other partners like local businesses like the Queen and Rook, which is a really great gaming cafe in Second and Market, and like the Philly Game Shop, which is on South Street. Like groups like that are really great, or universities themselves like Drexel, Temple. We were partnered with UArts, but also more. And then just other groups similar to what our mission originally was. There's a group called the IGDA, which stands for the Independent Game Developers Association. And primarily their goal is to support indies, but we have a lot of discrepancies with that specific, not discrepancies, but we just haven't seen them being very effective.
Right.
And so we're trying to figure out how we can do it better, but we're not trying to push them out. We're trying to work with them. So our goal is to find the chapter head in Philadelphia, talk to them about what they would like to do, why they can't do that, what they could improve. Looking for other groups. There's another group called Game Makers Guild, GMG. They represent tabletop. And they also do TTRPG stuff too. And then finding other organizations like the Fellowship, which is tied directly to the universities and their efforts, along with like we reach out to a podcasting association, that kind of stuff. Just getting all the heads of these groups to talk to one another and create these opportunities to give like and support these indies, and it could be done in many ways. It could be done through marketing, because in the end of the day, all the indies that I know hate marketing. No one, all they want to do is make cool games. They don't want to market it. But the thing is that if you can't get visibility on your product, doesn't matter how great your game is, no one's going to actually play your game, right?
That's
The
true.
other one is just general experience, right? So like all of us have created many different kinds of genre games. We've done Kickstarters, we've done crowdfunding in other platforms. We've worked with grants, we've worked in academia. There's so many things that we all offer. We have all unique experiences, right? And then lastly, like we could just financial support. Like maybe you need $1,000, maybe for like equipment or for licenses or for porting your project over, just like just a little bit of support to be able to push you towards a new audience by putting you on a new platform. So that's our general goal.
Well,
And
you're talking to a lot of people out there, because some people are listening to you right now going, what?
well, that's the thing, is that we're like, by helping these indie developers, we
Mhm.
create opportunities for other people, like writers, for artists, for animators, for VFX artists, for production, for voice actors, for example. Like we're still like, hey, if anyone here wants to do voice work, we have a lot of opportunities in our company.
Hey,
I know,
And we just
guy. Yeah.
and we just hired 2 writers recently, and again, so we're always looking for talent. So like one thing that we do, and like I said, part of my job earlier, is to research, connect, and find other talented individuals or partners or organizations that we can collaborate with. And like I said, like the whole concept is, rising tide lifts all boats. This
exactly.
isn't a zero-sum game. We
Well, yeah,
all
it's so funny
benefit.
that you said that, Ken, because we like to say that here on the Bit and Apple all the time. We rise together. If we
Exactly.
help each other out, we can rise to the top. It's much easier to rise as a group than it is to rise as a person.
Exactly. We're
Mhm.
as strong as the teams behind us. Like
Exactly.
my major strength with my company is the diversity and the staff that's behind, like knowing that I can trust these people to be able to be autonomous when I'm doing my other actions, stuff like that. I think the number one thing for us in terms of not just skill's great, but reliability is another key thing. Being able to hit those deadlines and to actually show up when we need you to show up. So I think that's really important. And like I said, I used this analogy earlier too, is that at least developers that I met on the East Coast, we're all like islands. We all have the same
Yeah.
problems, but we don't talk to one another. So we're trying to connect those groups and have that avenue of communication so we can help each other. Because like I said, if we all hate marketing, then having all our people that have dipped their toes together or all our different networks together, we can actually promote the projects during release, right? And like we could also even make sure that our releases don't touch each other either, and all that kind of stuff like that. There's a lot of maneuvering that we can do together.
Exactly. Some
But
people are
like I said,
stronger at one thing. Some people are stronger at another thing. If you're together, then you can use all that stuff. Yeah.
exactly,
With our
which is why
powers
we have
combined.
Exactly.
exactly. So that's why I have an eclectic list of talents, and that's why half our team are actors. Just like if we find someone that just has something unique about them, we try to utilize their skill set. So, like I said, just put yourself out there, and we want to make sure that people know that we're out there and that we're willing to help. And sometimes you just want to change fields, or you just want to make a cool game, but you have no idea where to start, or you have a product and you have no idea to market it, or simply you have no one just to play it. And all the groups I talk to you about, they're all about playtesting. Like that's their jam, right? And just general mixers to meet other creatives, because it's really cool to meet other people to nerd out about stuff. Like this cast alone, we talked about anime earlier. We had talked
Woo.
about a huge amount of random
Yeah.
stuff. I feel like we
That's
could
what we
all
do.
talk for hours, right?
Oh, we do that a lot.
It always feels like talking to an old friend that you've never met before.
Exactly.
Yeah, listen, I actually been able to nerd out about like thought experiments, like we talked about earlier, like the Hedgehog's Dilemma,
Mm.
and talking about the book about the ones that walk away from Omelas. Like that stuff is great. So I'm really glad that we're able to even make that kind of discussion. And I feel like history itself is super connected. So I'm just saying, like there's so many people with different abilities that we can build something really great on
Oh,
this
definitely.
too.
And it's funny because we like to say that everything's a geek out here. That's why it's all geekery, because if people try to like make certain things not be geek, and I'm like, it's all geek.
You like anything at all, you're a geek. Like I don't care.
Exactly.
Like sports, no, you're a sports geek. That's
Geek.
it.
Yeah.
when you're really into something, you're a geek, right? That's how it
Exactly.
kind of goes, right?
Yep,
And
gotta
that's
make
really
rules.
fine. I think sometimes it's just really hard to find a passion. So I applaud anyone that has a passion, right? Because the world gets kind of dull when you really just are just trying to survive but not actually working towards anything.
I also feel like
Look forward to something.
the other thing happens where everybody wants you to fit into this little cage, because they're constantly telling me, Ralph, you do better if you concentrate on one thing, especially when it comes to the show. And I'm like, no, I like a lot of things. Why would I concentrate on one thing?
Yeah, that's no fun.
Oh no, not at all.
Then we
You're
don't have conversations like this happening.
Exactly. Geekery.
Yeah.
Oh man. And Mr. Brooklyn over here, tell the people one more time where they can go on Saturday, because our own Floof is going to be tabling at Brooklyn. So
I hear. So you can come by this Saturday to 3017 Glenwood Road in Brooklyn to come by for the summer edition of our show. Our time actually changed for the show. We extended the hours of the show from 11 to 10 a.m. and it goes up
Ooh.
to 8 p.m.
Oh wow, so you added an hour on both sides.
Yeah, it's a Saturday. It's summer. Like the day is long. Like
Yeah, don't get dark till like 9. You're good.
Exactly.
Yeah, enjoy it now because once September hits, I mean, August, they're already doing back to school commercials. So, you might as well just have fun.
Oh no.
Yep, we have like our next edition of the convention of Brooklyn Anime Fest is our goodbye summer edition. I have one of the artists that came by to do a show as one of the people to create the poster for it. So the poster is gonna come out within a week or so, and we're gonna start promoting that show after we finish the show. But
It's so funny that you said that because one of the things that especially everybody thinks that you're not doing anything once the show finishes, but even when you're always preparing the next show, and it's worse for you because your next show is not that far away.
yeah, no, it's like once this show comes up, it's just like instantly advertising the next show, instantly contacting the vendor, say, "Oh, you want to come back?" We do incentives for the vendors that come back. We give them a discount rate of the table. That way, it gives them more of a incentive to come back, and then it gives them, more of a leeway to, come back and not have to spend more money on the table than they should be.
That's a good thing because you need that return I guess vending, the return customer, the return. Yeah, it's something important for cons.
It
else.
saves like the money on having to advertise for vendor space. That's the big thing I go for. If I'm able to trust that someone's gonna come back because I gave them a good discount and they like the show, I don't have to spend money on promoting. I could spend it on different things that could make a more wonderful experience for the people.
Smart.
And Floof, I'm showing your stuff off right here because you're going to be at at Brooklyn. This weekend.
Whoa now.
Wrong borough, bro.
Whoa now, Bronx.
Matt is here, so I'm thinking Bronx.
No, as you know what, as a resident of the Bronx, I also say, no.
I mean, I might come just for the zoo because I heard that a new tree kangaroo baby was born. So I might come just to see that.
Fair.
Is everyone here in New York, by the way?
Pretty much.
I think
Both
so.
of us? I think Cliff's in Jersey.
That's close enough.
Jersey's like New York. It's the new New York.
Yeah, it's the unofficial
New York.
borough of New York.
It's like a suburb of New York.
10 minutes outside Manhattan.
There you go.
Yeah.
There's so much to New York that we still need to explore. There's so many different organizations too.
I think it's funny that Floof has a reindeer.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah. Cupid.
Did you do?
There's actually an image there's an image in the book where Cupid's staring straight ahead, ready to trample Santa.
Oh no.
Oh no.
So Floof, tell the people who you are. Tell them all the good stuff. Tell them where they should go and find you.
I'm just trying to survive, honestly.
Relatable.
Just your average New Yorker. Just I sleep like what 3-4 hours
Like
a
everybody else
day
here.
if I can.
What do you do? What
I
do
go to
you do?
school. I go to school.
What
I'm a
do you do?
I'm
What
a
do you do?
student.
What do you do? What are we talking about you?
I do occasional art. Occasional because I am busy. So when I can, I really try my best to get pieces out there for not just for promotional, but because it's my therapy. Doing art is basically something that I've done ever since I was little to try and unwind and relax. You know, as an only child, you're just left to your own devices. So it's basically what I have done from a long time, just to make other people happy, to make myself happy. And now that I have the opportunity to sell it or vend, I'm trying my best, trying to get out there. It's not something I can see myself doing every con, but I try to get out for the ones that I know I can make it to. So I'm very, very happy for this Brooklyn con because it's so close to me. Very, very close to me. I don't have to hop on a train and take like 2 trains and a bus. I can just walk down the street.
Yeah, folks. One other good reason to go to Brooklyn because it's right there.
Yeah. Right down the road.
Exactly. So, Matta, do your thing and tell people all the good stuff because we're about to go. Well, I want to make sure that people know
about
who
Bunny
the Matta
Lord
is.
2377.
What does anyone want to do my pitch for me?
Yes, the Sacrimony is a wonderful story about a.
No, not anyone who's not named Nat.
Thankfully, my name's not named Nat. So Bunny Lord 2388.
I knew you were gonna go with the bunny.
Sacrimony.
I knew you were gonna go with the bunny.
I knew.
ahead,
You
Matta.
know what? I shouldn't have said it. All right. I'm Matta Sorcier. I am a self-taught artist and writer from Bronx, New York. I do all of the art and writing and everything for this comic called Sacrimony, A Tale of Love, Life, and Death in no particular order. I don't sleep a lot. It's very unfortunate. And yeah, Sacrimony is the story of a girl who died, but then she got better.
I love that.
And as with all mysterious resurrection stories, there's a catch. The catch is that she has no memory of her past, no idea why she has magical powers, or why she has demon wings that she has to hide from society. So if you read the comic Saga, it's kind of like that, but if it wasn't in space and if the parents hated each other.
And if Bunny Lord 2388 is the magical hero.
Oh man. You know, I'll talk about what I'm working on next time because I'm too tired. I'm so tired, you guys.
He's also going to make an appearance.
We're going on the 2-hour mark almost.
Yeah, I was gonna show the new cover for Buddy and Friend 3 that I finished today, but that'll be Monday me's problem.
Is it gonna also include Bunny Lord 2388?
If you give me $8,000, yes.
$8,000.
$8,000.
I'll give you 800.
No, 8,000.
Sounds like an interesting investment. I'm in.
I'll give you 800 with interest.
Nope. No deal. I said 8,000. I am not budging on that.
I will give you 1 penny per second for the next 10 years.
So, folks, I'm happy you all came in. You people that just showed up, shame on you for showing up right now. Go rewatch the show. And on this show, when we go near the end, we do this thing where I press the button, and where it stops, nobody knows.